Hey guys, this is Tombox, and today we are looking at Azamina Fiendsmith Snake-Eyes, a quick deck list for you guys that you can break apart like a fundamental build to see what's most comfortable for you. And then we're gonna do some combo lines, which you can also break apart like Lego, because that's what this deck is capable of doing. It's very circular now, especially with the Azamina stuff, searching out your sinful spoil cards. It's gonna be very, very problematic for the most part. Is it gonna be a tier 0 deck? Probably not. Is it gonna be tier 1? Obviously, it's going to be a tier 1 deck. I definitely guarantee you it's going to be tier 1. But is it unbeatable? I don't think it is unbeatable. It is definitely something that's going to be challenging, but you can definitely do it. And can they eat a Mulcharmy? Well, I'll even show you guys a combo line under Mulcharmy. I'll try my best to minimize the amount of stuff that my opponent can get and still end on something rather decent, and really how to kind of approach the Mulcharmy equation there. And of course, most of the meat of this video is in the combo, so that's why it's a bit long. So make sure you guys hit the like button, hit subscribe, ding that notification bell. Check out MST.TV because all the sleeves used in today's video will be from MST.TV. Get your hands on it today. And without further ado, let's jump into a quick deck list. We'll do the deck list and then we'll do the combos. All right, so let's start off with the Snake-Eye package. You have 1 Ash because it's limited, 1 Poplar because it's limited, and 2 copies of Oak because this is the ratio that we're stuck playing with now. So what's great about this? Well, the extra Oak is an actual follow-up for 1, and it can help you dig out your cards. That's mainly it. It gives you an additional Ash search target. As for Poplar, we are going to put additional cards for Poplars to kind of put into your hand so that it can be dug out and maybe spent away for cost later on for the Azamina package. Next, we have 1 Snake-Eyes Diabell Star and 1 Flambird, of course. I still think it's great to run the field spells, so that's why I'm leaving the Diabell Star in. And if you get stuck under a Furrow Wasp, this is one of the cards that will help you develop a board without giving your opponent additional draws, right? Then into the, I guess, Sinful Spoil, we have triple Diabell Star, the Black Witch, just to dig out your Sinful Spoil Deceptions, and also your like Wanted and your Original. Next, we have the Fiendsmith package, 2 Engravers, 1 Lacrima, and 1 Lurie. Without this card bridging into all of your Snake-Eye cards, it's not a high priority item. It is still very useful to end on some form of negations from DDD Wave Hiking Caesar to I guess the Desiree. And a quick shortcut to Desiree without needing the Necroquip would be Lacrima, because Lacrima mills 1 into the graveyard, setting you up very quickly. Now let's look into the hand traps. We have 3 copies of Mulcharmy Furloss. So Furloss, obviously, it's just mini maxi. It's probably one of the best hand traps, so you might as well max out on it. And best of luck to you guys for acquiring them. Then we have triple Ash Blossom, and you probably have to leave them in the deck after post side because they could be Furlossing you as well, even if you're going to be choosing to go first. Triple Imperm. I'm playing double Veiler for now. I want to play more, but my deck size is getting out of ratio and out of balance, so I'm only playing 2 at the moment. And without Appaloosa, Nibiru is just that much stronger. The Imperm Nib thing is still very much a real threat. And 1 Droll and Logbird for cross-out target purposes. I'm not a big fan of Droll, but if it's for cross-out, I'll put 1 in there. And even if I open with it and then I get Drolled, I can Droll my opponent back, and hopefully it's a matchup that does matter. All right? But for spell cards, we have triple Deception. This card is just extremely powerful. It searches for your Hallow Azamina, and if you know your lines, you should be able to bridge from the Deception, Omni Negate into Snake-Eye combo line, which is fantastic. With triple Wanted, I think it's self-explanatory, the best starter now in the entire deck. I don't know how long that's going to stay at 3. I'll play 2 Bonfire because I just don't have that many things to search for aside from like the Ash, but because I'm also playing 2 original Simple Spoil Snake-Eye, and more often than not, I'm actually adding the card to my hand, which is why the Bonfire is mainly as a Poplar extender, if anything. Then we have the Divine Temple of the Snake-Eye, because I still think it's great. 1, the Hallowed Azamina, and 1 Fiendsmith Tract. And as for something that I have to adapt with the current format, for now, I think in the beginning of the format, we're likely going to see people try out Cross-Out Designator. I think later in the format, people might try to take this out because they would have figured out the lines to eat those hand traps, eat the Furrow Wasp, and just be able to just play through it without needing this card. I might just be coping, but it might be a big ask of people to do that. But having so much overlap in the deck just makes it so that Cross-Out is going to work out even better. And of course, I play with the Rabbit, so I do have the 1 Angel statue as a rune. For the extra deck, we have Mu Rosialgo and we have Ilya Sylvia. This is your Omni Negate. This is your Sinful Spoil Searcher. So this can dig into your Wanteds, can dig into your original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye. It's ridiculously powerful, and that's what you're kind of digging for. 1 Moon of the Closed Heaven, 1 Requiem, 1 Sequence, 1 Desiree, and of course the DD High Wave King Caesar. And there's of course the regular Snake-Eye package, 1 Relinquish Anima for linking out your ones, SP Little Knight and IP Masquerader interaction, 1 Silo Hat Rabbit to replace the not IP, but Appaloosa. And for the remainder, we have of course 1 Promethean Princess, 1 Nightmare Phoenix to link out, which is the one that I'm contemplating changing out, 1 Hita, and 1 Access Code Talker. The one thing I want to point out in the extra deck is that there are options. If you want to keep the Necrocut Princess, which I will be keeping for the combos, I have to take out a Nightmare Phoenix, hoping that the Silhouette Hat Rabbit will replace it in a similar way. I don't really need to make co-link arrows, but keeping a Fire Link in the extra deck is a very tough position to be, especially if you want to go like Zelantis into Raging Phoenix. That's like going to be a pretty difficult thing to do, but that's another option you can by cutting out maybe your access code. There's just things that you have to cut, or maybe you cut out the ability to make into Desiree. That's another thing that you can also cut, and therefore you will also not need Sequence, and you're only doing the DDD Highway King Caesar. So it's combo time, and we're gonna focus solely just on the new stuff with the Azamina cards. And if you guys want to see older Fiendsmith Snake-Eye combo, regular pure Snake-Eye combo, then you guys can check out the older videos. I'm gonna assume you guys already know half of that stuff, so let's get to it. And starting off, we got Deception of the Sinful Spoils. We're gonna activate the effect, tributing a monster from our hand, adding a Hallowed Azamina into our hand. Speaking of Deception, you guys are wondering, oh, how to get all those Furoases and all this stuff. Let's just say it's camera magic. You guys know I only have 1 technically, so here we are. So we're gonna activate Deception. We got to this part, and now we have the Hallowed Azamina. So next, we're gonna activate the Hallowed Azamina. We're gonna reveal to the opponent the Azamina Mulcharmy. So this is like the 2-card, 1.5 card combo, and we're gonna show this. So for every 4 level it has, rounding down, you get to send 1 Sinful Spoil card to summon this card out. If you send none, then you don't get anything. This is an effect to send it away. Okay, so we're gonna send 1 because it's 6. 6 rounds down to 4. It's a round down effect. And we get to Mulcharmy. Mulcharmy is on summon effect. We're gonna add Wanted, Seeker of Sinful Spoils, and if this card gets, I believe it gets destroyed by battle card effect, you add a Sinful Spoil spell. So you know, good for you. Don't ogre this card. Add the Wanted, activate the Wanted. Wanted is gonna help you get the DFL Star of the Black Witch, putting this into the graveyard. If this was like a kind of like a top decky situation, then how do you summon this card up to max value? Well, Wanted, Seeker, the Sinful Spoil already kind of pays that bounty. We're going to activate Wanted. We're going to put the Deception of the Sinful Spoil back to the bottom of the deck to draw 1 card. In this case, it was a Lurie. We're going to send the Lurie away to summon out the Diabell Star. Diabell Star effect is going to put the original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye onto the field. So this gives you access to your Snake-Eye line, and now we're going to give it access to our Fiendsmith line. So this is now summon 1, 2, and this is summon number 3. So we want to kind of insulate ourselves from Nib, and there's actually a way to do it which is gonna insulate you from imperm Nib, and that's kind of what we're going for. And it also telegraphs your opponent's hand because it doesn't really give them a lot of opportunity to react. So in this particular case, we're gonna activate Hallowed Azamina as effect. We're gonna put back the Azamina Mulcharmy, and from there we're going to add this to our hand. All right, and since we already have another Sinful Spoil card, we're going to activate this and establish the first Omni available, which is Ilia Sylvia, and we're going to send away the set original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye. And if it's face down, it says on the card, you just reveal it. So we can send that and can summon out our first Omni Negate, so that's Omni on 4. So that's already like a little bit of Nib insulation. Normally, if they have Nib, they're probably and an Imperm, they're going to try to negate this as soon as possible. But you can also make it kind of tricky for them. So what we're going to do next is, if you want to establish the Imperm Nib scenario for them, you're going to use the Moon of the Closed Heaven. We're going to link that off into Requiem. Use Requiem's effect. And we're going to summon out our Lacrima. Yeah, that's right. We're going to use Lacrima for this particular effect. It's kind of important that we're using that Lacrima here. So Lacrima gets summoned. Lacrima effect, we're going to put the Engraver into the graveyard. We're going to summon back the Engraver. So at this point, they should be interacting with you. The reason why is that, why haven't we gotten to the Snake-Eye line yet, is so that we can just force them into just dropping nib early, so we can still end our board in a pretty nasty fashion. We're going to use the effect of the Engraver. We're going to put back Moon of the Close Heaven, specifically Moon of the Close Heaven, and we're going to summon the Engraver onto the field. And then we're going to use our Requiem, equip it onto Lacrima, and then we're going to perform the fusion into our Necrocorp Princess. I mean, at this point, you know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to go into DDD High Wave King Caesar this way. There. Now we're Imperm Nib insulated. Perfect. Unless they already dropped it on here. They would have been forced to drop it at that particular point, which would have been pretty awkward. So at this case, now we're going to start with our Snake-Eye line. But how are you going to do it? We're going to activate Original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye. We're going to put the Diabellstar, the Black Witch, back into our deck. And that's going to bottom deck in. This is going to help us add the Snake-Eye Ash into our hand. We haven't normal summoned yet, so now we're going to normal summon. Normal summon, and that's going to add the Poplar effect. Summon out your Poplar. And Poplar effect again on summon. Get the Divine Temple of Snake-Eye onto the field. Divine Temple now sets you up with a Snake-Eye's Diabellstar. And since you already did the entire Fiendsmith line, you don't really need to kind of go down that avenue anymore. Just go directly into basic Snake-Eye combo. Activate the Ash, send away the Snake-Eye's Diabellstar, summon out the Oak. Oak effect, summon back the Ash. Oak effect now will tribute, or rather just send to the graveyard it itself, the Poplar, and just summoning a Flamberge. Poplar effect, putting back our Snake-Eye's Diabellstar. Link summon these two. Alright, and that goes into IP Masquerena. The effect of the Flamberge is going to activate, putting back 2 of your level 1s. Link summon this. Now be careful now, you're going to get fire locked here, so just keep that in mind. You're going to go into our Promethean Princess effect. Summon back the Flamberge. Flamberge effect, of course, get the IP Masquerena. And to kind of get ourselves out of this particular lock, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to link summon these two away, unfortunately, and into your Hita. It does burn your Hita like this, but I guess we're not exactly done here, so we can actually push forward our Snake-Eye's Diabellstar and put the Oak into the back. Take the Hita and your Snake-Eye's Diabellstar and perform another link summon into Silo Hat Rabbit. Silo Hat Rabbit effect, we're going to place the Angel Statue Azurin onto the field, and that provides you with a ton of effects. You have basically 3 levels of summon negation, basically effect base and the immediate inherent base ones, or the ones that don't start a chain. Then you have spell trap removal, you have the summon of IP, IAP, SP, Omni Negate right here, and also Promethean Princess in the graveyard. So this is the option that you have if you're going to be going first. And not to mention, there is the follow-up. The reason why I play a second copy of Original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye is that if I do manage to summon back the Poplar, this board gets broken, Poplar can fetch you the second copy of Original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye. Even if you're not going to use it, you can use it to pay costs for the Hallowed Azamina. When this card gets back into the graveyard, you're going to use the Hallowed Azamina to put it back to the extra it into your hand, and then you can use the Original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye to send it away. And that way you can also add a copy of Oak into your hand. That's why you have to play the second Oak, in my opinion. That's just how I'm playing it right now. So let's jump back for a second. That end board has an alternate ending where rather than having DD High Wave King Caesar, you could also have just a Fiendsmith Desiree instead. But that one is much more fragile because you can get hit by the Imperm, and then you can still get nibbed off the board, which is why the other play is something I would require, because that does bait out nib. But if you want to end on that board and you want to just do it with Moon to Close Heaven, so you go Moon to Close Heaven, go into Requiem effect, go into Lacrima once again. Lacrima effect, we're going to send the Fiendsmith Engraver into the graveyard, and then we're just going to use the Engraver effect. We're just going to put back Moon of the Close Heaven because we don't assume that we have the Lurie, and summon out the Fiendsmith Engraver. We just link them off into Fiendsmith Sequence effect. We're going to put back 3 Okay, and if we put back the 3, this gives us the Desiree. But if you want to ensure safety, you're going to have to activate the Fiendsmith sequence right away to equip rather than use it as material, unless you hand check your opponent for triple tactics, talent, and something like that. If you get that hand check for security, then you can obviously min-max your combo. But that way you can still build the board all the same. And if you want to negate more back row, then this might be a better choice. Alright, so this next line is going to be the opening with Hallow Azamina with Wanted. And I want to just illustrate one thing, which is this card effect to summon doesn't exactly have a cost. On resolution, it sends the card away. So if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, well, I'll just show you guys. So if you open a hand like this, you can establish the Omni Negate first. With the Wanted already in hand, you already have access to Snake-Eye combo. So, you know, use your best judgment to see when is the best opportunity to do something like this. Or maybe you should reroute it. Since this is Snake-Eye after all, they're reroutable on every occasion. So we're going to activate Hallowed Azamina. We're going to reveal to the opponent the Omni Negate right away, because I'm just going to skip that step of maybe getting myself drolled and getting myself completely stuck with a terrible hand. So we're going to have Ilya Silva, and then on that, we're going to chain link 2 or chain link 3 if your opponent responds. We're going to go with Seeker of the Sinful Spoils. So with that, we get to add to our hand a Diabel Star, the Black Witch, and on the continuing of the resolution of Hallowed Azamina, we're going to send away the Wanted, and we get to summon out the Ilya. So Ilya's on the board, and that gives us the Omni Negate. Now with the additional card in hand, we're going to send it away to summon out the Black Witch. Black Witch, we're establishing the basic combo here for the most part. And luckily, if your opponent tries to droll you on this particular play, you have the negate for droll right away. And you can still try to build as much of a board as possible. And you can set the original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye. Playing this out, we're going to activate the original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye, sending the Diabel Star, the Black Witch. We have not normal summoned yet, which is great. But we're getting a special summon of Snake-Eye Ash onto the field. Ash effect, get Poplar. Poplar effect, this part is kind of like on repeat right now. Get the Divine Temple of the Snake-Eye as hand activated. Activate the Divine Temple of the Snake-Eye. And we're going to put Diabel Star onto the back row. Activate the Snake-Eye Ash, tributing it, or rather sending it and that Diabel Star into the grave. Summon out the Oak effect, and we're going to summon back our Snake-Eye Ash. Yes, we can technically get nibbed and we can prevent the nib, so it's still like a one hand trap installation. I'm going to go full greed here just to build a board to see what you guys can do with this stuff. So we're going to start off with the Ash and the Poplar. We're going to link those off into our Fiendsmith line, Moon of the Closed Heaven. Poplar effect is going to activate. Don't forget to put back the Snake-Eyes Diabel Star. Moon of the Closed Heaven will now link away into our Fiendsmith Requiem. Requiem effect. We're going to summon out Lacrima again. Lacrima effect, send the Engraver into the graveyard. And activate the Engraver. We're going to put back Moon of the Closed Heaven. And they're going to summon this. We're going to activate the Requiem, equip it onto either of these Light Fiend monsters. Activate Oak effect. Alright. Oak effect now is going to go off. And that's going to summon out Flamberge. Now, Flamberge, I think we want to summon it into a space where this is left empty. So I'm going to summon it into this particular zone here. Zoning here does matter. Alright. If you don't get your zoning done right, you're going to lose out on a downward arrow. So from here, we're going to proceed to link summon with the 2 Light Fiend monsters, which will give us access to our Fiendsmith sequence. Sequence effect is going to put back 1, 2, and 3. So that summons out the Desiree. Now with that, we can now link summon these 2 into our Promethean Princess. Effect of our Flamberge. Flamberge is going to put back a Poplar and the Ash. And again, we want to leave this space open, but since we're going to be using the Poplar's material, that's fine. So we're going to summon these 2 onto the field. Activate Sequence effect. Go into our Desiree. Activate Promethean Princess. Summon back our Flamberge. Now we're going to activate the effect of Desiree to negate the Promethean Princess. And that allows us to get out of the Firelock. Out of the Firelock we go. We're going to proceed to link summon into an IP Masquerena here. And now we're going to take these two to make our Silhouette Rabbit effect. Get the Azarine statue and place this here. Now you can push this forward now. You can push the Snake-Eyes DFL Star forward and put the Oak into the back. That way you still have two monsters in the graveyard. If you mis-sequence this, you're not going to have that kind of spacing. So that's something that you can keep in mind, but it's essentially you're still establishing the same board. That's how strong this deck is. Okay, this next part here is just a demonstration that you can actually have everything. We already seen that these two cards can generate so much. What happens if you have the Fiendsmith on top? It's even more ridiculous because you get to end on DDD Wave King Caesar. You get to have your Omni Negate, your Desiree, your Silhouette Rabbit, and your back row IP. You can have everything. Yeah, basically your cake and eat it too. So let's just skip through the engraver part because that doesn't require any explanation. So engraver, dump, tract, get yourself the Lurie dump, and get the Lurie summon. Lurie summoned out, and Link summoned into our Fiendsmith Requiem effect, summon Lacrima. I think you can even skip Lacrima at this point. You can go directly into the engraver, to my knowledge. Yeah, I think you can go directly into the engraver. Just use the effect of the other engraver and summon itself out, putting back the Lurie. This here. Activate the Requiem to equip. You need to put this engraver back into the graveyard anyway. So now you have this available in the graveyard. And so now you can go into your Necroquip by Contact Fuse, and now you've set up your first monster here. Alright, so this part is done into the DDD Wave Hiking Caesar. So now we play the Deception line. Deception, no, we're going to trip you off the effect failure. I guess the better thing would be to get rid of the Mulcharmy instead. And you do the exact same thing as before. You get yourself the Wanted, or not Wanted, but you get the Hallow Azamina. Activate the Hallow Azamina. Hallow Azamina, do this. You're revealing the Murcielago. Okay. Murcielago's effect is going to get you the Wanted. Wanted is going to get played to get you the Black Witch. Activate the Wanted, put the Deception back to the bottom of the deck, draw a card. In this case, let's just draw that Lurie for now. And you can ditch the Lurie, summon out the Diabell Star, the Black Witch, and set to the field the original Sinful Snake-Eye. So at this point, it's more or less the same, where you just continue to link this off. Now, you need to change the sequence in this because it's a little bit different now. Now, you probably don't need to go into the Moon Goddess so early. You should go into the IP. Otherwise, you're going to brick on your own IP because you don't have enough space to make the IP, so you can bring it back, put it in the back row. So to kind of skip through that, what we're going to do here is that we're going to make the IP first, and then now we're going to move Murcielago for the Hallow Azamina. Put this back, add this to our hand, and now we can activate the Hallow Azamina. Of course, this time we get ourselves the Omni Negate. And so this is how we're gonna do it. And with the Black Witch in the graveyard, we're gonna activate original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye from the grave, put the Witch to the bottom of the deck, and add ourselves the Snake-Eye Ash. So board-wise, looks pretty similar. Normal summon out the Ash effect into Poplar. Poplar can now grab the Divine Temple of the Snake-Eye, activate Divine Temple, and this should give us enough monster and proper sequencing to get the proper amount of monster, because once you get down to 3 zones, you can't really manipulate it very well. It's very limiting. And so we get the Snake-Eyes Diabell Star. We're going to activate the Ash to get to the Oak. Oak gets summoned back by the Ash. And so if Poplar leaves the field now, which it will basically do so now, we're going to link this off into our Moon of the Closed Heaven. Effective Poplar, that's going to put back our Snake-Eyes Diabell Star. The one monster that we haven't summoned yet is, of course, Flamberge. So Oak effect is now going to get Flamberge. We need to minimize the amount of monsters so that we have space later on. Now we link summon these two into sequence. Because of that, that's going to lead to 2 monsters being summoned through the Flamberge effect. We get ourselves the Ash, and we get ourselves the Poplar back. We got to make space here, so we'll do this. Sequence effect. We should have Moon. We have ourselves Fiendsmith, and we have the Requiem. We can put all of these back, and that can summon out our Desiree. And with Desiree already out, now we can go take our Poplar. I guess Poplar's fine. We'll take our Poplar and a Fiendsmith. We can use that to link summon into our Promethean Princess. Promethean Princess effect. We can bring back our Flamberge. Now, I did a little bit of poor positioning here. I don't think it really matters in this case, because I'm not actually linking, so it's fine. It's fine in this case, but normally you want to leave that arrow open. Use the effect of Sequence, equip onto the Desiree. And we are going to use the Flamberge effect that we already linked off IP into. Now we can put the IP into the back row. Activate Desiree's effect, turn off the Firelock. Take these two now. And go into the Silo Hat Rabbit. The Silo Hat Rabbit effect. And get the Azaroon. And there you have it. You literally established every single thing. You have one additional summon. And yeah, I guess it was kind of through some hand traps, but if you get a hand like that, yeah, it's totally cracked. I don't know what your opponent's gonna do. So you have technically three summon negate, one back row pop. You have one Omni negate, two Omni negate, and I guess you have the SP play, and you also have the Promethean Princess in the graveyard. Have fun. That was the do everything because you have both combos. And to close out the combo, sometimes your combos aren't going to move out as smoothly. What if they have a Mulcharmy, since that's to be expected? And so we're going to eat that hand trap. This is the best way I know so far. I need to explore with it a bit more, but say if they blind do it and you check your hand, you have two hand traps, I think I can just pass turn. Imperm Nib style combos are just still good enough to keep you alive for the most part, unless they're like cross out plus like Call by the Grave. But in a more realistic scenario, say I go for Engraver. Using Engraver, I get Tracked. I activate Track, get Lurie. Lurie gets summoned onto the field because it gets discarded. Okay, at this point, on resolution, Mulcharmy. Oh no, I am stuck under odd position. I do have hand traps. First thing to assess, how many disruptions do you have without committing any more cards. Next, I need to make sure that I'm not going to go into the Fiendsmith line. That offers them 4 cards. And if I go for Fiendsmith plus my regular stuff, that's going to give them way too much, at the point that I don't think I can actually win anymore. But if you do want to commit, this is something that I tried out, which kind of worked out. Start off the Diabell Star. Convert anything that would summon from deck into adding to hand instead. So for Snake-Eyes would be the original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye. Convert that into the Search effect instead. Get the Deception. Play the Deception to put the Witch into the graveyard so you don't have to link it off. And use that to get the Hallowed Azamina. Activate the Hallowed Azamina. So the first draw that they're going to get is going to be the Omni Negate. So we're going to put up the Omni Negate right away. And from here, with the Witch in the graveyard, we're going to put it to the bottom of the deck for original Sinful Spoil Snake-Eye. And this way, it's going to act as a bonfire to add our Ash into our hand. And now we can normal summon out our Ash. See, that doesn't really matter. Activate Ash effect. Adds Poplar to hand and then summons it out so they don't get a draw. So far, the only amount of draw they have right now is just 1. We're going to have to go into the extra deck a few more times because this is obviously not a good enough board. And so if we get to the Poplar summon, now we get ourselves the Field Spell. Activate the Field Spell. If you can somehow get Flamberge onto the Spell and Trap Zone, that usually works out for you too. But if you can't, that's fine. Just go for Snake-Eyes, Diabell Star. Now you have the Witch in the back row, so you get another summon that's already on field, so that one won't give them the additional draw. Next, we're just not gonna push our luck here, so we're just gonna take Lurie and the Ash, and we're gonna go for something that's a 2/4, the Silo Hat Rabbit. Silo Hat Rabbit effect. They're gonna draw another card for this one, so they're additional. So now they're +1 from their initial position. But you get yourself something that's a true disruption, which is an Azaroon statue. So now you have additional body, and additional pop. And to finish it off, you're going to push Snake-Eyes Diabell Star up, putting the Ash into the background, so when they summon, you get the Ash, and you can add an Oak, and you get to continue your play from there. And don't forget, you have hand traps as well. You're going to have to perform a quick little summon into an IP Masquerena. They're going to draw another card. So the additional cards that they gain is that they drew 1 additional card on you, putting them to like 7 cards. but your disruption is not that bad. If you have something like this, you might be able to stop most of their plays, and you also get your follow-up along the way. And that's something that you have to consider when you're eating the card. Is this the least amount of cards I can give my opponent with the most amount of disruption? So you have one summon, one negate, two SPs, and your one follow-up, and if you have additional hand traps, they're still eating through like a five card disruption. What's mattering the most here, things that you have to account for your opponent, is that sometimes they have effects that are hard once per turn, and if you still have the correct answer for them to eat them at the correct choke point, you might still be able to get your turn back. And that's kind of the whole point. You have to think about how you want to proceed once you get hit by Mulcharmy. And that's all I got for this video, guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the combo section, maybe eating a Mulcharmy here and there. I think the best way to kind of play into the Mulcharmy is to just throw a Mulcharmy randomly during your combo and see how it fits. Break apart the existing combos that I've shown today, because they are like Lego pieces. You can break them apart and rearrange it, and it still kind of gets you there. Although certain endboards require a specific sequence, but you're just gonna have to lab it out to find out and use that as a method to optimize your combo to play around different hand traps. That's all I got for this one. If you enjoyed it, hit like, subscribe, ding that notification bell. Check out MSTmerch.com if you like the sleeves that you saw here in today's video. We've got new sleeves coming up, and I look forward to seeing you guys all in the next one.